Good morning, evening, or afternoon, everybody. This is RaceSpotTV bringing you live coverage of the STC Blue Cup round number 5 here at Monza. It's GT3 action, and it's coming to you guys live in just a moment. A legendary track in Italy, Monza, Autodromo Nazionale Monza, 11 turns, 46 pit stalls, and it is going to be home to the next round of the STC Blue Cup, round number 5, as the cars start getting wheeled onto their grid. We're going to take a quick look at whom is on pole. It is going to be Andrea Mazziro in the number 89 car with a pole time of a 1:48.7. This was a 3-lap qualifying shootout, and in that McLaren of his, he is going to be bringing the field to the green flag. And starting next to him is Jose Vergara, and he is going to be in the roof with just off by 0.3 of a second. And in the second row, it is going to be the teammate to Andrea Mazziro. And the other Team GT McLaren, it is going to be Giuseppe Mia. And he is going to be still in that 148 bracket, as there were 5 or 6 cars in the 148 bracket. Very quick for these GT3 cars. And then the first Movano car is going to be starting in position number 4. That's Gilberto Miglioranza. In the row behind them, it is going to be Ade Cobel Lopez in the Zalem car. It is also a roof. A lot of mixed cars here today, as the first car just outside 149 is going to be Francisco Javier Gonzalez with a 149 flat. Car number 11, that's going to be yet another roof. And next to him is the first BMW Christian Manzano, other than the BMW up front, of course. It is going to be Ricardo Inacchio in 9th position. And as the cars get underway here for the short run up to the green flag as they start on the backstretch here, we'll have gone through the top 10. As you'll see the rest of the positions up on your screen. Plenty to talk to, plenty to talk about, as we have a 1 hour and 30-minute race here at Monza in the GT3 cars. Hello everybody, this is Cameron Walsh with Rachel Whiteford, and of course Hugo Louis on the cameras. So as the pace car brings the field asunder, we come to Monza. Once again, this is the first time for a lot of these guys, and boy, is it going to be an interesting race, Rachel.
Yeah, good evening, Cam. It certainly is. Of course, Monza, a historic racetrack, and one that sees a fair share of Blancpain GT action in the current standings. Of course, 1 hour and 30 minutes tonight, which means we're looking for at least one pit stop in this race. And of course, this running start arriving now at the Parabolica, a Crazy, crazy corner, especially for the GT cars. We're about to go green.
All that we are, that iRacing.com first safety car looking to pull over to the right there and let these cars roll. And we'll get underway here for this GT3 car race. You got a McLaren versus the roof going into turn number 1 as the field starts bunching up, a little bit of serpentining there, but they all get underway, and we are green here at Monza for round 5 of the STC Blue Cup. Andrea Masiro in that Team GT car pulling very far away already. Actually ahead. We'll see if anyone wants to catch up under braking as everyone heads into turn 1. These are the chicanes. The McLaren cuts off the entire corner and secures his lead as the roof car of Giuseppe Muio runs very wide, and that will allow, actually, the McLaren also has a mistake there, and that allows Jose Vergara there to run on the outside and almost get the lead, but he is stuffed right to the outside there. A roof car on the inside as they will go into the next chicane here, 2 by 2 almost, as the rest of the field having gotten away very cleanly. These two roof cars already very tight.
Contact up ahead, Cam. We have believe that is the roof car there of that's Adego Lopez spun around in the second chicane there. Try and get a replay up, but contact from his teammate, I believe.
Yeah, he started in 6th position as the rest of the field starts getting away. Here it almost looks like, yes, that was his teammate in a BMW. That was the BMW of, oh boy, it's his teammate of Rafa Bordoy. As they had an incident there already. That's definitely not how you want to start your hour-and-a-half long adventure with your teammates, but ultimately everyone else, though, getting away completely cleanly, which is an impressive feat after having a car spun out in the middle of chicane there.
It is indeed, and of course, very aggressive early on for an hour and 30-minute race. You'd think this was a 45 sprint race, but two of the biggest benefactors there of that big consumer effect we saw early on, Cam, were the two Hellenic Racing Team cars of Andy Pers and Nick Kudarakis. Those two cars benefiting heavily from the consumer effect, and they managed to gain some spots right now. Of course, Kudarakis qualified 17th and Pers was in 11th. Kudarakis now in P11. Pers up to P9.
Yes, and Giuseppe Muia there, who had led the first lap, is going to be passed on the outside. That Team GT car having some front end damage. Not quite sure what happened there. I believe probably one of the chicanes, somebody went into the rear end of somebody, and that roof car already picking up some damage there. But Jose Vergara is going to be going up to the front of the field here, and he'll look to get as much of a gap as he can with that damaged car behind him. But it's only a matter of time as these cars typically stay really bunched up with these chicanes here. Of course, Monza, one of the fastest tracks that any circuit can have, especially with these GT3 cars with that very long front stretch. So Jose Vergara, that roof car, actually 2 roofs, 3 roofs in the front. The McLaren that started on pole, Gibraltar, he is back down into 4th position right now, and he's getting hunted down by Andrea Masiro. Actually, those were the 2 cars that started up front, the Movano and the Team GT McLarens. And the first BMW is Christian Manzano in that BMW that had that contact with his teammate there, and unfortunately pushed him way back. A couple of those roofs might be looking to get away, and these roof cars, not a lot of aerodynamic drag on these guys, so these guys are going to be looking to take advantage as they all run wide coming out of the chicane to take advantage of that and hopefully get some distance between these other competing cars as the Movano car goes to the outside looking to go into the Parabolica, but I'm just not sure if he'll be able to get that done.
That's the Team GT car there, actually, of Jose Vergara. No, in fact, it's not. That is the car of Giuseppe Muia. He is the one that's in P2. He was, of course, leading last lap round, and that is Vergara leading right now, and that's the Odox Motorsports car, of course. They've had some run-ins before, those two teams. As Muia looking to the outside again. What will happen here? Clean run into turn 1. That's Movano car hunting behind those 2 cars there at the front. Of course, these 3 teams are, Cam, all in the points hunt together. Of course, Movano in 3rd position right now, leading the championship standings. And the current race leader, Iberica, they're in P2. Team GT bringing up the rear in 3rd.
Yeah, so these roof cars still looking good here. They ended up making turn 1 very nicely. There's actually a little bit of rear end damage on that Iberica car, I believe. Probably from the front end of the Team GT car behind them. But ultimately, everyone's still going away as they go through Curva Grande and into turn number 3. as it is still pretty much a straight line of cars going all the way back as Odox. Okay. All right, that's Team Odox. I got my whites and my blues mixed up here. I'm sorry. I hear that's a crime in some places, especially in some cities. But ultimately, most of the cars are still straight here in a straight line. Nobody's really has really beaten their cars yet, which is always great to see. It shows the quality of the drivers. And Ade Coba Lopez there, who was the worst loser, as it were, out of that start, he got spun around by his own teammate, just making up the position in that car number 34. He is now going to be moving up to 18th position, and boy, is that going to be a long road up to the front, as he was started back in 6th. So he'll have a long road ahead of him, but right in front of him, though, now is Rise Gardner and Ethan Bass in the pair of the MovieGo cars, the BMW and the Ford, as the BMW looks onto the inside of his own teammate. The Ford GT, as I believe I've heard contact somewhere. Yes, they did. As Juan Prieto, car number 17, and Rinius Drijers, the car number 87, have an issue, and they have contact. They actually make contact again as that BMW was stopped probably longer, as we'll get the replay on the screen here, as I believe this was in the Parabolica, as it just looks like that BMW with that heavier aerodynamic front load was able to go into the corner much faster than that McLaren could, and ultimately there, that's never going to work out, and that BMW just ran right into the back of that McLaren.
Yeah, probably going to be expecting a penalty there for that Blue Flag Racing BMW, of course, and well, not what you want to have happen on the racetrack, of course, and that was, I believe, the car thereof. I'm looking at the wrong one. That's his teammate, actually. That'll be Rinius Drijers. That's, yeah, that car on pit road for repairs. Unfortunate, you can't outbrake yourself like that, Cam.
No, you really can't, especially when you're the pursuing car, and especially in like a BMW, which is probably one of the best front-stopping cars in the GT3 field we have available to us. Juan Prieto also in the pits. So both the Blue Flag Racing car and the EC Hardware McLaren are into the pits right now, as the rest of the field still racing live, still close action up front. As the roof cars are still starting to pull out their gap, or at least they're trying to, but Andrea Masiero in that McLaren, he's trying to push that turbo to the limit in that Team GT car and keep up with these guys, but it just seems like these three roof cars right now, as they're still getting really racy in a Parabolica every single time, as the Odox car once again secures the entry. And I almost wonder that front-end damage is really messing up the entry into the Parabolica, as the contact obviously involving cars number 17 and 87 is going to be under investigation from Race Control. That McLaren, though, just seems to lose out mightily in a straight line, as the front-end roof cars are already hitting 160. That McLaren hits 160. Wait later, as they almost try to go into a triangle into the first chicane. That's never going to work. The Team GT car has to back way off and ultimately loses the position of Mario Bertoli at Martardi. They're in that roof car there. That is, I believe, I don't know which team that is actually. As is that Minerva?
I think you're looking at Mario Bertolotti there.
Yeah, Bertolotti. Who's that? Movano. That is the Movano car.
Yes,
That's
it is.
a very small logo from over here. The binoculars only work so well. Jose Ivagara, though, managing to take advantage, actually, of that turn one kerfluffle there as they went in too wide. He has now pulled out a gap, and hopefully he won't be under pressure, and he can get some good, clean laps in, as the rest of the GT3 field still coming through. And, boy, these guys are still so very close together. As
update, Cam, actually, we have news that the 77 and 27's contact, of course, on our first lap is under investigation. So leader and second place potentially both under investigation here, and one of them might have to come down pit road to serve a penalty. So that could change the dynamic of this race completely. Of course, right now, in regards to how team points are operating in this series, the best team in position right now are Team GT. They have, of course, P4 and P3, with there being a Movano car and an Odox car ahead of them. Team Iberica are relatively far back. We do have the highest placed Iberica car. That's Rafa Bordoy right now, I believe. And he is sitting back in P7. So for your championship leaders, that's second place position, actually. Real problem for those guys.
Oh, that it is. And, well, one thing that's at least nice to take front of is as the Odox car managing to not have to worry about being under pressure going back into turn 1, gets the power down as everyone's going single file through the chicane for the first time in a while, actually. Is that all the way up to like position 12, they're all in the same grouping here. There's a little bits of gap here and there, but these guys are all so very close together. In fact, the first 10 cars are still within 7 seconds of each other. The first 8 are within 3.5 seconds. So if you're in the top 8, you're still looking relatively good here. But that can always change in an instant when these guys start putting down hot laps and they start stop having to worry if they can come under pressure from these other cars behind us. The BMWs have been slowly marching forward here. The first BMW is Christian Manzano, and that is going to be in the number 2 Odox racing car. Of course, that's the teammate to our current leader. And that BMW starting to look pretty racy behind that Movano car as he's trying to close up under braking every single chicane. It just seems like the McLarens are able to get the power downs quicker, but actually the Zalem car seems to be also in a BMW, seems to be quite pressuring as it almost leans out. But now he'll duck back in, and these 2 BMWs here is actually, it's a fight of 3 roofs, 2 McLarens and 2 BMWs as the Zalem's car does go onto the inside. That's Rafa Bordoy, and he will think better of it. Of course, this is the car that had a contact with his own teammate the very first, in the second chicane actually on the first lap, but he's managed to not damage the car and will stick right behind. So Rachel, we've got 3 roofs, 2 McLarens, 2 BMWs, and then of course you have the Ford. There's only one, and it's back in 16.
It is indeed, and those Fords typically down on speed at the moment, but I just want to draw your attention, Cam, to fight there for P10, 11 and 12. That is the car there. Oh, we have a spin. Sorry to change subject. It is Vergara. It's Jose Vergara has spun that roof car, and he's had to have assistance to pit road. Gonna have a look back and get a replay up on the screen right now. Of course, the Movano car there of Bertolotti like, up the inside, and
we're gonna have to look at the replay from beyond the Parabolica here as they exit the Parabolica. We can get a replay of that right now. It looks like Jose Vergara there, and this is a big incident here actually. The Odox car looking fairly fine, taking the inside defensive line, and then when that Movano car went to the inside, it looks like they just managed to not take up enough room. It looked like I almost wonder if that might be a little bit of trouble for Mario Bertolotti. Is he actually was running out of space, and Jose was trying to squeeze him out and didn't back down. These 2 cars had a massive impact right before the chicane, right before the entire leading pack.
I'm afraid, Cam, I have to put that one on Jose Vergara. Race leader, yes, but he
squeezed him right out.
He squeezed him off the track. They were too wide, and of course he was entitled to the inside line. Of course, Bertolotti's limping that car back to pit road now. Long way for him to go, but Vergara just squeezed him off the track. Unbelievably aggressive racing at this stage of an hour and a half race. We're 15 minutes in, and pinching a guy onto the grass is not on.
Especially someone, it's not like it's impossibly difficult to defend the outside line going into the chicane because it becomes the inside line. And so pushing somebody over to the grass, I mean, I obviously I think this is kind of a 2-car incident, so it's a 2-car involvement there. Bertolotti wouldn't have lost too much if he backed out, but he really shouldn't have had to getting pushed over like that. So Bertolotti will move over. I almost wonder if it would have been faster if they just pushed it to the pits there, but right now we will have to
sorry to cut in, Cam, but Race Control come back with a warning to the 27 car for the contact there with the 77 on lap 1, which of course is lucky now because the 27 is leading this race. That is Giuseppe Muglia for the Team GT, and he's leading his teammate Andrea Massiero. The 3rd place standings in the team points right now, guys, are actually leading this race 1-2, so major points advantage for them with Iberica so far back, and well, Ravano having just lost one of their cars. This is going to be an upset race.
Yes, it is, and Team GT, of course, they're from Italy, as these guys are looking to maybe do a really good race here at Monza, their home track, but you kind of get it.
Isn't the Tifosi out for them?
What's that?
You think the Tifosi are out for them, or is that just Ferrari?
I don't know. Probably just Ferrari. They're green cars. They're green cars. I don't know. Maybe. maybe just for one day. But they are getting chased now, though. This actually has allowed the McLarens and the BMWs to catch right up with that roof, as, of course, that pack of 3 roofs down to just one. And that, of course, is the wounded Team GT car. So I know it is far too early to be talking about pit stops, but these Fords do, the Fords go for a while, but everyone else that's actually doing good competitive race times, they'll be looking to pit maybe in sometime in the next 45 minutes, so it's probably just one pit stop. I don't believe the fuel is capped here, so we will be having one pit stop, probably with driver swaps involved, but ultimately, though, in this hour-and-a-half event, there we've already had quite a bit of action. These people are still treating it like a sprint race when really we've got an hour and 15 minutes to go.
We have one of the cars, I believe that is the car there of Nick Kudarakis, who missed the first chicane. Major loss of time for him there, as I'm trying to work out what happened to him, because he was behind his teammates. He fell back a long way and completely missed the first chicane.
Overcooked it. He overcooked it going into turn number 1. He actually made a good move to dodge a car. He looked like he wanted to try and do the chicane, and then went, well, I'll just go through the little blocks here. Dodge the cones, which, you know what? I got to give an A for effort for that, because normally people just drive right through. So, hey, at least you're not knocking things over, so the track marshals don't.
Well, they will damage your car, of course.
They can. Yeah.
P1, we have action at the front, of course, as Andrea Massiero will pass his teammate into the Ascari chicane. The Ascari complex, of course, one of the best corners on this track, and that McLaren now leads from his teammate Giuseppe Muglio in the 27, under threat from Migliorezana behind.
Yeah, I was about to say Migliorezana is looking very racy. Also behind that roof, will actually lean right out going into Parabolica. That McLaren might be looking to get a better exit with that turbo, but we'll have to see, of course, that Team GT car is going to be looking to get his teammate into the draft there, so he'll hang it onto the left side and allow that roof car, but it's actually allowed the BMW, the Odex car, to catch right up. It doesn't? I thought it did. All right, fine. So... Okay. We're having an argument here, but only one of us has a microphone. So anyways, they go into the BMW and the McLaren.
Contact.
Actually, they made contact, too. But
yeah, that was,
looks like
I believe,
they just played
Rafa Bordoy.
Yeah, well, it was Migliorezana and Manzano.
Yeah, sorry,
and they played a little bit of conkers there, and I don't think they hurt each other's cars, but boy, that was just a rough entry into the chicane there. That McLaren dumping right back, but now he's got another BMW. That Iberica car is just capitalizing on all of this carnage, and now almost leading off of the inside going in through this chicane complex. But ultimately, coming in from race control, the number 7 attacked with the number 21. There was not enough space for the number 21 car to pass. So that number 77 car, which of course was done anyways. I mean, the engine was blown, and they could have got it fixed, but it wouldn't have done anything. But that 77 car, which qualified second and was first in practice, is no more. But that still leaves us with 16 cars on the field today, and still quite a lot of racing action on track to do.
There is indeed, of course, and just trying to talk about this before the incident, of course, but we had a great run there with Kudarakis before he had his turn 1 overcook, but his teammate Andy Pers right now up to P7 in that Atlantic Racing Team machine at McLaren, and he's got a good run right now, of course, ahead of Benito and Coba Lopez, which is a brilliant run for Andy Pers. That Atlantic Racing Team really been showing some legs recently, Cam.
Well, that they have in that McLaren of Andy Pers fighting going on, but yes, Ade Coba Lopez there, wow, not a bad recovery at all so far. Only 18 minutes into this race, and you went from last to 9th. Not bad at all. Well,
it's a real struggle when you spin on lap 1, of course. He was helped around, let's not forget, but you kind of got to wait for a gap in traffic to pull back onto the track, and when you're on the first or second lap, that gap usually comes right at the back of the field, so big disadvantage there for Coba Lopez, who is renowned as being one of the faster drivers, and he was really put out by that. So hell of a recovery so far, and of course pit stops to come. I think that could still change, and he could work his way back towards the front. But the biggest problem here, of course, is that he's really going to struggle to find his way past a lot of this traffic. His teammate is up there, of course, Rafa Bordoy, and they should be able to get back towards the front, but it's going to be very, very difficult for them.
Well, it is, and especially when both cars get together, we'll have to see if they want to maybe spin that BMW around just to balance things out, but I don't see that happening, actually, as Jacobo Lopez looking to pressure the McLaren ahead of him, the Luis Miguel Ortiz Benito car, the number 33, as he is looking to get through the rest of this second pack here. As there is actually quite a massive gap, about 10 seconds between the last car in the first pack of Francisco Javier Gonzalez and Andy Purz. So Andy Purz, as they exit through Parabolica, we'll keep our eyes on this as they go through to see if this McLaren of Luis Miguel can catch up, or if the roof car with that little bit of damage of a Jacoba can possibly catch up. But it just looks like there might be a little too much distance, far too much for there to be an opportunity pass, except for Ricardo Inacchio. Actually, one of the other roof cars is trying to look on the outside going into the chicane as they all bunch right up. I think they might be getting stuck through with somebody maybe early braking in the front of that field, actually, as it seemed to bunch them all up through the chicane. And from race control, a drive-through penalty for the car number 87, which is down in the field. Car number 87. There it is.
87 is right to the back.
Yep, yeah, it's already right back there. That is the Blue Flag Racing car. I was wondering where that went to.
5 laps down. He's been in the pits for 4 or 5 laps to repairs because of that contact. Yet they give him a drive-through.
Well, I mean, it's you gotta penalize him for something, obviously. I mean,
well, at least he knows where he's
penalized
going.
enough. Yes, I mean, he's penalized enough. 5 laps down, and of course, whom he had contact with, Juan Prieto, in that McLaren, is still well on the pits, and they will be repairing that for some time, I imagine. But ultimately, right now, it is just, if you go back to the point of the field, it's Andrea Maciero and Giuseppe Muia there. They've managed to pull out almost a 2-second gap over the BMW of Christian Manzano. And, boy, I think that gap is only... He's going faster than I am, I'm not going to lie. That Movigo TV Ford, while looking very nice in its lime green and black colors, is quite disadvantaged here. I think the car right now has quite a lot of problem getting the power down. It's got a lot of power and it's got a lot of top-end speed, probably one of the faster cars going through the Monza front stretch, but ultimately trying to get that power down is an absolute hassle. And especially with the traction control package, only 3 settings of traction control, and the first, the top 2 are way too much, and the top 1, or the bottom 1, is the only one that really gets used. It creates a big issue there, but ultimately there, he's still up in 14th position. Jose F. Diaz in the McLaren also following him in 15th, and those are some of the last running cars, actually, with the other Blue Flag Racing car of Ralph
Too
Coleman.
wide for P10.
Yeah, as we go up and look through this battle still. This is that second group we were talking about here. Now it just looks like that McLaren has been dumped down. Luis Miguel, he was once looking to fight in positions, but Ricardo Inacchio and Ivan Fernandez, as Ricardo pushes wide, kicks some dirt up there, has managed to pass Miguel, and ultimately shuffle that McLaren back a little bit, as these 2 roof cars are looking to use that speed maybe on the straight once again, but ultimately this has allowed Jacobo Lopez and Andy Purz to kind of pull away from this second group here, and ultimately these roof cars, that EC Sim hardware car and the car of Ricardo Inacchio, which I believe is the Darcatigo Racing Team car. Actually, he has managed to go away from the radar screens right now, so we'll manage to keep eyes out on this battle here elsewhere, actually, as they are going into Parabolica once again. Luis Miguel looking to defend against Reyes Gardinier. Actually, that BMW, is that McLaren way overcooked the entrance into Parabolica, and that BMW, well, it had to go a little defensive just to ensure it didn't go into the rear end, as we've already seen a McLaren and BMW and what can happen in the Parabolica. But ultimately, that speed on that BMW, it hits 162, 163. It's actually probably one of the faster ones I've seen in the draft, of course, but still, ultimately that BMW just seems to be down on whatever it needs to get around Monza quickly. Is, of course, if you go up front, the front leading cars, it's a McLaren from a roof, from a BMW, from a McLaren, and then actually another BMW. So actually the BMW's not doing too bad up front, but of course you got to remember the 2 leading roof cars, well, they had a little bit of an issue going into turn 1, and that allowed Team GT, the Italian team, to end up to the front there.
Yeah, they did indeed. Of course, Reece Gardner, the 94 car, definitely a big improvement for his positions. Of course, 4 places up right now, but definitely looking better on the older tyres. He's starting to reel in those cars ahead of him, Cam.
Yes, they are. As it's just the evolution of the tires here. Of course, that is another thing. The setups can be so wildly different with what downforce packages you're running. It's also how kind they are to the tires. You have people that can be very aggressive in their first half of the stint, and that allows them to really make positions and keep the positions defensively. But ultimately, you have to defend that for the rest of the entire rest of your stint there. So. It's just a matter of personal choices here, and of course your teammate also has to be good with that setup. So we'll have to see what they do on the pit stops. Of course, everyone's going to be taking tires. You'd be insane not to. I don't think anybody double stints tires in GT3 racing. As this front pack, actually the front pack up here, going all the way up to the point here, Gosipo Muia actually is still under massive amounts of pressure from this BMW. I just don't really know how that BMW is going to get around unless it uses its size and weight to pretty much muscle that roof car around. And then every single time he pulls out, Gerato Migliaranza in that McLaren and the Movano car looks to get past him. So we've still got quite a bit of front traffic here. We've got 5 cars all within about 2 seconds of the leader. And boy, they're still getting very racy.
Yeah, they are indeed, and as things stand, of course, I'm just looking at the points positions, Cam, based on where the cars are right now, of course. As things stand, Iberica will be up to 274 points, but Movano, of course, having that car up towards the front, that car of course, Christian Manzano, that's not even him, actually, I'm looking at the wrong car again. Gilberto Migliaranza. He's currently sitting in 4th place, so they should retain that points lead, of course. Big gain, though, was coming for Team GT. They will pull up 90 points in this race alone if they maintain 1st and 2nd. And that will put them as a threat there for Iberica.
Yeah, and Iberica, of course, currently in the 2nd place in the team standings overall, as we've already been through 5 rounds. This is the 5th round of the STC Blue Cup here. As they're coming around one more time, they're going to finish out lap number 15. As I almost wonder, as Andrea Macero in his sights has the damaged car of Rennes Dregiers, as that Blue Flag Racing BMW is going to quickly be enveloped by some of these lead cars here as the pack comes in. Once again, they look to go into turn 1 as they try to look to go 2 abreast, but it just doesn't happen. No late takers on a break, and that BMW having to go way up, I believe. That Christian Manzano, I believe he's being patient, but I don't know how much longer you want to be patient, especially when you can definitely outbrake somebody on the inside in that BMW. I believe he's trying to look out for any penalties or anything like that, which is smart racing, of course. We've still got an hour to go.
It is indeed, of course, and looking right now, Andy Pers in P7, all over the back there of Gonzalez. A really big fight coming here through Curva Grande as we head down towards the 2nd chicane, of course. This could be a good outbraking position there for that McLaren. He looks to the inside. He will try and do it on the brakes. He gets that car up the inside. He owns the corner. Contact there. Wow, Gonzalez tried to turn in on him. Possibly didn't see him. But that McLaren definitely holds his position. Keeps it nice and set. Well, excellent pass apart from that roof turning in.
Yes, I'd almost like to see the roll cage there of Ade Coba Lopez's car. Now, of course, he managed to make that position as they go into the chicane.
Oh, sorry,
there.
He gains it back because
they gained it back.
Passed Pers.
Yeah.
Pers got him back again, so yeah, definitely a great move there and awesome pace from Andy Pers.
That's what I was going to say. No, it did damage Lopez's car, but boy, that McLaren was well 2/3 ahead of that roof car, so that's kind of on Lopez. I don't believe it's damaged the car of Andy Pers. I can't imagine it has. That McLaren, she's a tough old bird as the battle for P9 is coming in. We actually have a car that's flipped over right now, Ivan Fernandez, and it seems to be almost self-inflicted, I almost wonder, as it has been.
Yeah, that car's crabbing very badly. Coming through, of course, he was there at the time. Yeah, self-inflicted spin, just lost it though, coming through this last part of Ascari there.
Actually, I think I'm seeing what's happening. There's a little bit more to the picture here, actually. They'll have to go back up before the chicane entry, if we can, on the replay, is actually Ivan Fernandez was leading Riccardo Inacchio. The two roof cars we've been keeping our eyes on into the chicane there. Inacchio tried to go on the outside and ultimately ran very wide on the inside of the chicane, Riccardo Inacchio. He managed to dodge those giant curbs, but when he ultimately rejoined right ahead of the EC hardware car of Ivan Fernandez, and that had to mess up his entire line, pushed him way wide. When he went under power, he ended up losing traction, which is just so easy to do, and he hit the outside wall and flipped it over.
Yeah, probably erase anyone there. That car is crabbing side. Never seen a roof drive that sideways, unless it was in Tokyo. But that thing is twisted altogether. I don't think he'll be out on the racetrack anytime soon. So that's a decently high position that's now going to be falling back. And well, your favourite underdog, the Ford GT, will gain.
Yes, no problem there. Well, obviously, this is the full coverage of what happens to the Roof GT. The Ford GT, of course, is that's what we bring to you on RaceSpotTV, at least when I'm here. But actually, Rennes Designers and the Blue Flag Racing, he's going to punch me right in the throat for pronouncing his name like that, I'm sure, at the end of this one, but politely pulls over to the side and lets everyone go by. Very nice there. It didn't impact the racing at all, which is always great to see, of course. Blue Flag Racing, probably where they derived their name from. Andrea Messiero, they're leading them through the field, or the front stretch once again, lap 18, and you've got to be feeling pretty good right now. You got your teammate behind you. You're in a car that is quite nice here. The only, obviously, I think the roof does have, as they go too wide, actually Movano in the Odox car, but ultimately that Christian Manzano will actually lose a position to the McLaren of Gibraltar Miglaranza, and that Movano car actually might have been waiting behind the BMW, as that BMW is actually under attack by Rafa Bordoy, actually, in the Iberia car.
Yeah, he is, and as I'm about to mention, of course, that car there of Manzano has to be very careful now.
Having some issues trying to get the powers down. Of course, that Blue Flag Racing car, that's a lapped car. So we'll keep our focus on these two BMWs as they work their way around Monza. Christian Manzano on the outside with Rafa Bordoy on the inside there. And ultimately that Bordoy car will get ahead and keep that position looking through the chicanes. Will he get the power down? Yes, he will. So now that is in one lap, Christian Manzano went from 3rd to 5th, and that is definitely not what you want to do, especially if you get the wide shot. A massive gap now between both of those Team GT cars and that Movano car with where that BMW once was.
Yep, and just good news now, of course, that officially Ivan Fernandez has retired from this event, so that car will take no further part in this race, and unfortunate for him, but terminal damage tends to be pretty terminal.
Yes, and of course that is the number 20 roof car that we had seen flipped over, of course. Not much the crew can do with that except paint it a pretty color.
Story continuing actually with Koba Lopez back at Andy Purz. Koba Lopez using that draft, is trying to get around the outside there of Andy Purz, or potentially outbrake him.
Potentially it will happen, but that McLaren looking down onto the inside, protecting his corner, almost locked up the rear tire, which is definitely something you don't see, is the rear end's locking, as wow, that was very close to locking that rear end, I think, there. But Andy Purz driving that McLaren, willing it to really stay ahead of that roof car, is that roof car, other than that front end damage, now that it's picked up twice, once from his teammate, once from that McLaren, as that roof car closes right up under braking and through the chicane complex. But ultimately it's Andy Purz still from Ade Koba Lopez with Ricardo Inacchio and Luis Miguel Ortega Benito watching in the background. Now, talking about Monza, this is obviously a very quick track, but you've got those giant car killer launchers.
Call him sleeping policeman.
I don't even want to call him that. It's not a sleeping policeman. It's a policeman with a tire
well,
spike
the policeman's
strip.
had plenty of donuts, I think. But
yeah,
those yellow humps for anyone on the broadcast, of course. Yellow speed bumps, black and yellow. They are huge. You can't really do it justice looking at it on the cameras. You think they're like the red sausage curbs at somewhere like Circuit of the Americas. They're not. They are a small mountain, and if your car catches one, it will be going airborne.
I believe mountaineers have died climbing to the peaks of those.
They have indeed.
So I've actually, one of the reasons why I stopped running here in the Ford GT was because I kept hitting those and the car kept going about 3 to 4 feet in the air. Also, I was a bad driver. But we do have...
worse.
Yeah, me being a bad driver probably has far more to do with me not racing than, of course, the quality of the racetrack. Andrea Maciero is still on the point, but the McLaren of Gibraltar Miglioranza, maybe perhaps that tire set coming in as we do look at a replay on the entry to turn 1, as it just looks like that Movano car was able to way outbrake at the last second. I actually think there was a skip of contact there, Rachel, between Gibraltar and the Team GT car. It looks like he waited till the last second, and I almost have to say that's an excellent pass.
It was, and of course, Muya trying to catch up there after the second chicane, got it on the gravel trap, barely, but he's lost a lot of space and time over his competition there of Miglioranza, but that McLaren even, I should use my words correctly, doing very well so far, and very late move, and I think opportunistic really, Cam. He wasn't planning to do it, but the option arose, and he decided to capitalize.
Absolutely, as we now look to P number 4 as these two BMWs of Christian Manzano and Rafa Bordoy, of course, still fighting as wow, that Bordoy had to get way late on the brakes through the middle of that chicane to keep contact from happening there, but ultimately these guys, they're racing each other clean, but it's only a matter of time, I'm sure, before somebody decides to make an aggressive move, but ultimately maybe in the Parabolica now as he'll catch right back up, but Bordoy possibly looking to get a good exit here, but ultimately they are going through the straight one more time, but we'll have to see. I believe they're already going to the inside line. Hopefully they won't push anybody to the grass this time by. We don't like people going all the way to the inside line, but Rafa Bordoy will go onto the, as we have one car pitting. Yeah,
we do. That is the car there of... I believe number 72 is, in fact, that is Gilberto Miglioranza from the Movano Thrustmaster X team. He's into that pit box now, getting his service, and he will be, of course, 4,000 fuel. This is the only stop the major in this race, of course, with this being an hour and a half, not stretching it to the full fuel capacity of the McLaren, which we've seen previously can be over an hour, Cam.
Yes, it can, and we have had an issue. We'll get a replay of this turn 1. There has been an incident. We were actually watching Manzano and Bordoy when our eyes were attracted to the position number 2 car pitting. Ultimately, these BMWs, I was wondering if they were going to have an issue there. They did. Bordoy had the inside line, and they made contact coming off. Skirted the BMW of Christian Manzano around and managed to pick up quite a lofty amount of front-end damage on that car. And ultimately that is never going to be a good time picking up that much front-end damage. You're flying a sail now. But ultimately we'll have to see.
Well,
if
there
race
isn't one
control
advantage, because when he hit him the second time, he straightened him up again.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I mean, yeah, silver linings. But Bordoy, though, he does have to be the guy. Now, this is his second contact throughout this race. The first one was with his teammate. I believe he picked up a warning for that one. And now, this time...
Yeah, Andy Pers is, I believe, he's around. He's in the gravel trap, that Atlantic Racing Team McLaren. And that was the car behind him there of...
oh, yes,
that's the 00 of Ricardo Inacchio.
Yeah,
late dive,
what
actually. That
there.
is into this. Oh no, he got loose. Pers got loose, heading into the Ascari complex, and well, Inacchio just didn't lift off.
I was going to say there, that McLaren, it looked almost, as we do have more cars entering in the pits, we'll take a look at that. Christian Manzano with that damage, obviously now's the time to come in, but Ricardo Inacchio decided, you know what, that McLaren got loose. I'm going to make my move now, but McLaren tried to straighten right out, and ultimately the rear end got clipped there. They dragged each other around, and boy, race control had a little bit of a break, and boy, it's certainly not. Wake up, as they will have some work to do, but right now, Christian Manzano, that BMW, having gone into the pits, and now we'll continue with the live pictures right now, but as...
I think the advantage, Cam, is that, of course, Pers doesn't look like he has that much damage from that incident. It was fairly low-speed stuff. But it does look as though he's in his pit window. He can come in now, get a service, and he's not going to really lose anything net. So he comes onto pit road this lap round or next, of course, he can get back into position.
Oh, that he can. And Andrea Maciero now, after some really hard fighting, his car is completely clean. And 38 minutes into this thing, car's clean. Car seems to be running well. Still in the 150s as far as lap times go. And now he's got a 4-second gap between him and Giuseppe Mia, which is still his teammate. So through the battles of the day, ultimately that Andrea Masiero car, boy, that's quite the lucky dog today. Managed to take on the roofs and stay with them until they crashed each other out. Managed to hold off some BMWs, and now it's on an island.
Yeah, he is indeed, and been a great run so far from Andrea Masiero. Of course, his fastest lap so far in the race has been a 49.592, and that did. It's probably one of the fastest. Is one of the fastest laps we've had so far, and well, he was on pole. He had a 48.710 lap for qualifying, of course, and he has shown that pace. It's just, I think he got mugged a little bit at the start by those roofs because he was slightly better on the colder tyres, perhaps, than the McLaren. We did see the McLaren seem to slide back somewhat, Cam, but of course, come back to the front now, and well, P2 before was also a McLaren.
Well, perhaps they were just easier on the tires. Of course, tires are very important in GT3 racing, but that Team GT car looking very swell, especially here at Monza. As we said, they are an Italian team. So right now, looking through at least the top 10, it's Andrea Masiero in that Team GT McLaren, which we were just talking about, followed by his teammate with a little bit of front-end damage, Giuseppe Mia, and the car number 27, and that's the roof. That is going to be followed by a BMW, very varied up here on the point, as Rafa Bordoy in that BMW, the Iberica car, is kind of waiting, almost in limbo, waiting to see if perhaps he might get a penalty, as he is running third right now, 10 seconds off of the points. Now, going back into fourth position, it's Francisco Javier Gonzalez. Not much, really. We've talked about that bright yellow RDT car, Dar Contigo Racing Team car, but ultimately there, he's had a very quiet race. He's managed to break away from the second field, catching up to the first field before that whole thing fell apart and crashed into. Now he's in fourth position, 14 seconds off the leader. Now, Ricardo Inacchio, of course, he had the issue in the incident with Andy Purz in that blue McLaren earlier. He is in fifth position there, car number 00. He started in ninth, and he is looking to be under attack by that car right there of Ade Coba Lopez, the roof car coming onto your scenes right now. 34th, car number 34. As he actually, Lopez goes into the pits. So, good timing to look into who's in the pits, and that's Andrea Masiero, as there's the dead car of Vergara, as well as a couple of other dead cars still in pits. So it's Ade Coba Lopez and the leader right now in the pits. Everyone will run by, and we'll have to see as he gets the new pair of Michelin tires on that McLaren what he can do on his outlap. His in-lap was a 155. We'll have to see what his outlap can do as he'll get dropped down, taking fuel on now or after. Maybe they're doing a little bit of repair work to that car. I don't think he touched a bird so much as, so I can't imagine that. They're just loading, they were doing the front tires. And so Andrea Masiero is off and away, and we'll get the timing right on your screen in just a moment's time. He'll pull away. Now, the one thing they said specifically in the driver's briefing is to stay to the left of that white line, as that is a 42.9 total pit stop there, as he'll clear the white line, take the entrance into the chicane, and he'll try and warm up those tires as best as he can, actually coming out right behind Gilberto Miglioranza. And actually, Gilberto Miglioranza, having already been into the pits, that Movano Racing Team has jumped the leader, which is certainly quite an interesting development.
Well, he came in a lap earlier, so it's really been a benefit to him there, and of course that would be a big advantage right now. Of course, track position so vital here with being such a high-speed track cam, and having a decent gap between the two of them, of course, is looking like 1.2 seconds. He really has an advantage that he can pull that away and not be caught up by the rest of the field. Muya, of course, is now in himself from the lead. He was running P2. They should bring him out at least P3.
Yeah, and Bordoy in the BMW also falling behind. He was in third. So right now, that other Team GT car coming into his the crew getting onto the second car as Inacchio is in as well.
Everybody's in.
And everybody's coming in now. Following the leader here is Luis Miguel Ortega Benito also comes in. Andy Purz also bringing his McLaren in. Stop it, Hugo. Gregor Hudu is not in the pits, though. We're sorry. So the pace car is in the pits. That's also in the pits. Giuseppe Muia there. That car.
Hugo just wishes Hudu was still in the pits.
as Giuseppe Muia, they're on the Terra Jacks. They're getting some fresh boots on it right now. Ricardo Inacchio there with Bordeaux and Benito, the 3 cars with PERS behind them. Actually, quite a tight pack of 4 cars, all getting their new Michelin tires onto their wagon wheels, and it is going to be Bordeaux off first between these cars. Actually, as Muia obviously behind Muia managing to pull away first, Bordeaux pulling away second there, and it's a fight really between these crews here, as it looks like Benito has gotten out ahead of Inacchio.
Yeah, some of those cars parked at rather jaunty angles in those pit boxes, of course, making it more difficult for their pit crews and resulting in slightly longer stops there. Of course, this really emphasizes the importance of being able to stop it on the marks, Cam.
Yes, and obviously pit road training is always one of those taboo arts there. You don't like to practice it, but it is so important. Well, I don't. I'm just good at it. I'm an American.
Yeah,
I know how to pit stop. But anyways, so right now, just to kind of go through, we'll have to cycle through.
Gonzalez is in.
Yep, as Gonzalez, who was going to assume the race lead, is in. I believe that's pretty much everybody so far. That's at least still running here, at least in the top 10. So you've got Gonzalez coming into pits there, and now it's going to be Muia on his outlap. He's well back in the field, so it is going to be, I'm looking for where the leaders are, actually, is Nick Kotorakis is going to get his time on the clock there, as Nick, whom we haven't really seen, the Hellenic Racing Team BMW, he's been keeping that car nice and clean now in his second position. Of course, though, he'll have to come into the pits. Car number 31, Hellenic Racing Team, so shout out to you guys. Hey, you're on the channel. When everything sorts around, it is going to be a very intense battle between Gibraltar Migliaranza and Andrea Maciero. Actually, it's going to be an intense corner in turn number 1 here. That McLaren, the Team GT, pulling out just as it wants to get under braking, but no. He'll soak it back in, almost try to do a Mansell dummy there, but they know what contact can do into the first corner. They saw what happened to the 2 roof cars, and before these things get just a little too hot between the Movano and the Team GT car, we're going to go side by side, and we will be right back here on the RaceSpot TV. You are watching the STC Blue Cup, round number 5. And you saw it on side-by-side camera action in that car of Andre Maciero as we come back here on RaceSpot TV, bringing you the STC Blue Cup at Monza. That Team GT car, the Italian team, retaking the lead as Gibraltar Migliaranza, even though he managed to take the lead through the pit stops, he is now still behind that McLaren. Also cycled through, it is going to be Giuseppe Muia now well far and away back, as Rafa Bordeaux also back. So it's your 2 front runners and the 2 McLarens, and boy, was that quite succession of turns. The Team GT car of Andrea Maciero, of course, not waiting at all. As soon as he got into the sights of that Movano car, he pounced and he made up the position in quite a lap that you saw on side-by-side action. Would have missed it if we went to full commercials, but we're here for you, of course, on RaceSpotTV as we enter the second half of this 1.5-hour race. We're about 50 minutes in this time by, 27 laps in, and Rachel, boy, what an exciting race it's been. Fraught with a little bit of chaos, but ultimately there, the racing has been good.
Yeah, it has indeed. It's been very interesting so far, of course. We've lost some big names. Christian Manzano is 4 laps down. Even Fernandez, Bertolotti, Vergara, Pristo. Quite a high race of attrition so far.
Oh, that it has. As Hugo, stop it. A contact involving cars number 94 and 88 is under investigation. That's between Andy Purz and I believe Rias Gardner. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but oh boy, Gardner there. That is quite a bit of front end damage on that car. So obviously something terrible has happened. We'll have to find out what happened there. And I see. Well, we will definitely have to see. Might want to back it up at least to the Parabolica for a replay of this, actually, as this is quite the second time that this is going to be happening. This is a BMW versus a McLaren, Rias Gardner and Andy Purz. Andy Purz just drives him over right to the line on the outside, and both of them end up crashing right into the walls right before the first chicane. And Rachel, the second time we've seen that now, just opposite.
As much as I've been championing Andy Purz's drive all race, I can't excuse that. He just moved across, like we saw earlier with the two leaders. He drove him off the track. It's completely not on Reese Gardner, but that was just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, you can try and get somebody to back out, but if they don't back out, you can't just do that. You can't just keep going. So, heavily damaged car of Andy Purz, which is a disappointment. He was all the way up to, he was quite ahead of the field there. Started in 13th, now he's already back into 11th, and he's going to be falling like a rock. And Rias Gardner, I don't think he's an innocent victim per se, but boy, was that a rough incident there for him. He was just trying to see if he could get by on the outside in that Movie-Go car, but just not going to work out for him, as that car is absolutely wrecked. I can't imagine trying to keep that thing on track. I'll probably go to the pits and we'll see what happens, as it is in pit lane now. But ultimately, speaking about lap time info, as we do want to, of course, please the audience that we have now, all 36 of you, John Oncala. Right now, people are still running in the 150s. They just got done with their pit stops. Gabrato got a 149.942 last time by, and Gabrato and Andre Macero, they are trading lap times, and they have been all race long. Throughout the race, they've been barely reaching into some of 149s, but they have been on the dot, even through old tires. These front two McLarens have been on the 150 dot, and I imagine they're going to be there all race long. Your fastest roof car has gone with a lap time of a 149.5, which is really the same as the McLaren. So the roof car is kind of that overall speed that we're used to, having been neutralized mostly by the contact there between Jose Vergara and Mario Bertolli there, who had that incident, that stupid incident going into turn one, which we just saw a repeat of between Andy Purz and Rias Gardner.
It is indeed, of course, and things have spread out somewhat, of course, apart from our front two. Masiero and Miglio Azanza are now very close together. Those two cars running right now. Separated by less than half a second.
And news coming in relatively quick from race control. Not surprised here that number 88 of Andy Purz has been disqualified from contact with the 94. I don't really think there's any rule book or any sentence you could use to try and defend just leaning on over somebody into the wall and then bumping into them, causing a collision. So ultimately there, bad day for Andy Purz. And he was having a good race, but now he's going to be out for sure. And that Ford GT moves outside of the chicane, but it's just not going to work.
No, it isn't right now, of course. And, well, you need to try and find that position, line it up quite a long way back. As things stand, though, I thought the ATO was disqualified. He's carrying on driving.
How that he is. Rachel, hold on a second. I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, I guess we're all hunky-dory. So, no drinks for me as Andrea Maciero looking to go onto the inside there, kicking way to the inside, almost trying to shake Gibraltar off, but the track is rather predictable. It's almost like they've been racing around it all day. But ultimately there at Gibraltar, this is kind of an interesting position to be in. He's been in this position all race long almost, behind this McLaren, behind this specific Team GT McLaren, after a good pass on the Team GT roof car. But ultimately there, I just don't think he's really getting that straight line speed to make turn 1 interesting. And if he does make turn 1 interesting, surely there's it's not going to end well.
No, it isn't. And of course, we saw it last time around into Parabolica. He's diving in too late. He's closing up on the entry there. And you can see that happening. That's really bad for you, of course. You're going in that late, yes, you're closing the gap, but it's artificial because you're not getting the run out of the corner you really need. And if you see two cars maintaining that gap between them into the corner, you know the guy at the back is going to get a really good exit. And, well, Miguel Razanza trying too hard. He's diving in too deep, and it's costing him that run.
Well, he might also be trying to rile up the Maciero car. Maybe he's actually just trying to run the tires off of that Team GT car. Of course, that is also quite the legitimate strategy as the two McLarens go through the chicanes once again there. That roof car, I have to almost imagine, that has been getting just a bigger and bigger. It's only 2 seconds back. But these 3 cars are the ones that are up front. But these are, of course, not the only cars on the track right now. We still have got 14 or 15 cars on the track right now as Andy Purz has still not come into the pits there yet. So well, I expect that car to come into the pits and be disqualified soon enough. But once again, not enough space for the other car to pass, as we saw earlier. Though as the front pack cars are still just running super wide, trying to get through, kicking up a lot of dirt. And I really think that roof car is catching up.
Yeah, I think it could be. Giuseppe Muia has been running pretty well. If Miguel Razanza's plan is to run the tyres off Maciero, he's going to do it to himself as well. And, well, that's only going to advantage the teammate there of your race leader.
Well, that it is, and of course that would be just such a great thing for an Italian-based team, I would imagine, obviously not being Italian, we're an Italian-based team, to have both of your cars up on the point after an hour and a half of GT3 racing at Monza. I can't imagine that would be... what's that?
Ivano were also Italian.
They're also Italian? Oh. Well, that's going to be an issue there. I don't know who's cheering for who then. So this Team GT car, of course, well, the GT and the Team GT has the Italian color flag, so obviously it's them. That's how an American decides these things. As Maciero once again taking such a defensive line, Gibraltar really being aggressive here through the chicanes.
He is. He's pushing very, very hard in the entries. Like I said, he's running those tyres a little too hard.
How bad he is. That roof car is definitely closing up. Last laps going through, Andrea ran a 150.5, Gibraltar a 150.6, and Giuseppe Muia almost a full second faster with a 149.6, even with that little bit of front end damage. Still closing right in, courtesy of the draft that they're getting. Those giant McLarens punching a giant hole in the air down that long straight, and also all this defensive wiggle wagging, as we'll call it, from Andrea, has ultimately allowed his teammate to catch up, and I don't imagine that's a bad thing. If you're under a ton of pressure, I don't think it's a bad thing to have your teammate come up on somebody, so I don't want to say that it's intentional. Obviously it's not, but boy, that sure is convenient as they look to go down Parabolica, waiting for the last second for Andrea to pull into the Parabolica turn, and ultimately the McLaren, the Movano car, runs wide, and that allows Giuseppe Muia to get a great runoff, and they're already almost side by side. They're dicing left, right, as they go through. Guys, this isn't the last lap. You can't do that, as they will straighten each other out, and Muia deciding on the inside line. As
you saw that Maciero was trying to pull his teammate through.
He was trying, and this was, that is just a lot of maneuvering, and absolutely nothing came of it, which I guess shouldn't come as too much of a surprise, but Muya still looking to get through as they go through Curva Grande, maybe on the inside of Curva Grande. No, it will not. That car, those cars have absolutely closed up, and boy, that was quite a bit of synchronized dancing there between the Team GT cars, and that Movano car was just absolutely trying to do what it can to keep its position or get forward, and boy, that's I can't imagine they can do that many times and get away with it.
Certainly not, and Masiero trying to break the draft there on Miglioranza. And of course, then he tried to pull his teammate Muya through, and at which point Miglioranza was trying to avoid it as well. So, quite an interesting and intricate ballet, we'll call it, at the front. It sounds much more elegant than weaving and blocking. But as things stand, of course, I don't think that McLaren's going to last very long. Giuseppe Muya's coming very, very quickly.
Yes, as they're going almost too quickly, as they almost made contact going into the chicanes. Muya is getting very impatient. That Movano car, the rear end, just stepped out on it as he got on the throttle. I believe that this might be the top of what that McLaren could have done, and now the tires might be starting to go away on it after this much aggressive driving. So we'll have to see, though. Andrea Misiero is still on the point. The Team GT car, Gibraltar Miglioranza, is in the second position in the Movano car.
We have a fight, and it includes a Ford GT not being passed.
Oh, boy.
It's chasing McLaren there of Jose Diaz.
Yes, it is, and I'll just make sure that nobody flips over going into Turn 1. We've seen that too many times where we look away and then bad things happen. So maybe it's an opposite of a commentator's curse. It's keeping them all on track, maybe. Not. So anyways, now we can cut to this Ford GT battle that I am hearing so much about as he is getting behind Jose F. Diaz, that yellow McLaren that's also a teammate of Francisco Javier Gonzalez. So that Ford looking to maybe close up their lap times. Ethan Bass running a 151.7 and Jose Diaz running a 152.1. And I almost wonder if the leaders are actually the ones who are behind them, but I can't imagine they can see each other yet as they are entering. Ethan Bass and Jose Diaz are entering the second chicane now, or is that the third chicane, I think, the third chicane. And Andrea Misiero is just getting through out of Asari, what is that one? It's not Lesmos, it's the other ones that have two names, the two numbers, 1 and 2.
Ascari?
Yes. No. Lesmo. I was right.
The
It's
Lesmos,
too.
yes, the Lesmos.
God, I was right the first time. Okay, now
well,
we
you're
have
so American.
I was right the first time in a very American way. I corrected myself and I didn't need to. Anyways, we have had a message from Race Control, and this is very critical. Warning to the number 89. For those of you not in the know, that is Andrea Misiero, our race leader in that Team GT McLaren. A warning for blocking that Movano car. Obviously having to try and deal with getting around. We'll have to see what Misiero is going to do. And Race Control, well, we really had to do that after that dancing debacle there. Obviously, the front two leaders were taken out and two mid-pack cars were taken out as the Movano car goes to the inside.
Oh, he blocks
and
again.
Will not. He leaned over to the inside line. He can make his move. That was his one move. He waited the last second to make that last move, but that was his to make in the Movano car. Having trouble getting under power.
Oh, a slowdown penalty, I think.
I'm not sure if that was a slowdown penalty. Yes,
He's very slow, he is, because there goes Muya.
As Muya goes past, and of course, folks really need to also do training. We're talking about the pits. You can also learn how to give the time back to the marshals, as they're going to want, they're going to demand probably 4 to 5 seconds. You have over 40 seconds to give that back. You can take a little bit off of every corner and not lose positions. But ultimately, that is not what happened as Miglioranza pulled over to the side and slowed way up, and that allowed Muya to get past as that was definitely trouble going into the first chicane there as Misiero once again running wide. Now I almost have to worry for Misiero. He doesn't have anybody behind him to pressure him now. Could he maybe psych himself out with all this open space now and make a mistake? I doubt it, but it could happen.
Well, he's upholstered, so he's used to running in clean air. And he's been out front most of this race. I think he can stay up here, Cam. That car's been very fast in both practice and qualifying, so I see no reason why he can't be this good out front. Of course, he does know the next car behind him is his teammate, so that's a very comforting thought.
That it is. And Andy Purz has finally come in and now has exited the race as another position for Ethan Baston. Oh, we missed it. We missed the pass from the Ford on McLaren. We were paying attention to the stupid leaders up in the front of the race. I mean, that's so not important. But that Ford GT there, getting back under power there, wiggling as it tries to struggle to push itself forward. But there's your Ford update.
Here's a scare, Cam. There'll be a Ford GT in the top 10 in a minute.
All right. I mean, there's only like 12 cars running right now, but that's okay. Actually, as this has been a very atrocious race, which is not something we normally see in the STC Cup, either the Black Cup or the Blue Cup, which we have now. Normally these guys run as clean as you possibly can, but I guess Monza just brings out the beast, as we've had quite a bit of contact going in, especially Parabolica, turn 1. Well, before turn 1, actually, which is the more alarming thing. And but ultimately right now, it's going to be Andrea Misiaro in that Team GT car looking at the next half an hour with his teammate 2 seconds behind to do what he can do best and get his laps done.
Yeah, I think he can do it. Moya has definitely been faster at the moment, and I think he could well maybe gain that gap down to his teammate, but I definitely think Masiero has the long run pace in that McLaren.
Well, we did see the tires start to rub off on these McLarens, I believe earlier than the roof, but that roof still has that front end damage. Not quite sure what it's going to do. But just to reload while everything's quiet now, because we're sure towards the end things are going to bunch right back up for some reason. They always do. Right now your leader is Andrea Misiero, as obviously at this point qualified in first with a 148.7, still doing 148s or 150s. If he was doing 148s, that'd be very impressive, but a 150.3 was his lap before this one. A 150.1, almost breaking into the 49s, and he is still on the point, and his teammate breaking into the 149s though, but only by a tenth, as Gilberto Miglioranza there is in third. Your first BMW is Rafa Bordoy in the 4th position there, and that is a lapped BMW of Renz Digiers behind him. But in 5th position, you've got the Dakar DeContigo Racing Team. I got this one, and that yellow car, which I have to say I appreciate, because there's too much white, black, and green cars. They're all confusing me. So this very yellow, or gold, depending on your opinion, roof car doing very good. He's in 5th position. He hasn't really had to do much other than race his laps, but he's doing good laps. A 150.9 his last time by, but closing in on him slowly but surely, but I'm not sure with enough time, as he's about 8 seconds back, is Ade Coba Lopez in the roof. He had the biggest issue of them all in the Iberia X-Team car. He had his teammate clip him going into the 2nd chicane, and he spun around. He had to recover. This has been a complete recovery drive. He's up to 6th. And following that car is Ricardo Inactio. That is a roof car as well, getting chased down by a McLaren. These guys have been in the battles this mid-pack all day long. They've spiced out right now, but ultimately it is sure to close up relatively soon, as the McLaren of Luis Miguel Ortega Benito is looking right behind him. That car number 33 McLaren having a good race. A couple of little taps here and there, but ultimately nothing too egregious, as Monza, I think you always got to get battered and bumped here as they still continue to circulate. Now, we're going to have fun with this one. This is the Hellenic Racing Team there. Nick Quartarakias, we'll go with that, is in that BMW. Looks rather mint. His last lap is a 151.4. He's in 9th position right now. And then you have the fan favorite, of course, not here at Italy, or not here on the stream, but my fan favorite is the Ford GT of Ethan Bass, of course. That's the Movie Go car. They're about 1 minute and 30 seconds off the leaders, doing a 152. That's perfectly okay by me, and he is currently getting pursued by the DeCartigo Racing Team's teammate of Jose F. Diaz, a yellow McLaren, I have to say, still looks good. And then you've got in 12th position your Blue Flag guys. You've got the Blue Flag Racing car of Ralph Cullinan, and it's going to be Renan's Dreinger, as actually Cristiano Manzano is still circulating. I'm surprised he got back on track there. He had quite a big off in that BMW. He's in 14th position, but he was once fighting for the lead, qualified up in 7th. But ultimately there, his day is just a recovery drive. Then you have Renans Grangier and Rise Gardner, your last two cars circulating, but they're 6 laps down. So as we have gone through the field, we also have to talk about who is not circulating. Of course, Ivan Fernandez, Mario Bertolotti, Jose Vergara, who is actually disqualified for contact, and Juan Pareto, who was removed from contact, and as well as Andy Pears joins that group to the last, as he was also disqualified for an incident going into turn number 1. Both instances, the leading driver just sort of drove the passing driver off into the wall, and they all made contact. Very unfortunate, very unusual, I have to say. You don't normally see incidents like that, but they do happen. But now it's going right back up to the front of the point. It's that Team GT McLaren of Andrea Masiero and Rachel. I have to say, it's been quite a race. He had those roofs to deal with in the beginning, but now that he's got the clear field, that car is looking pretty good.
It is indeed, and of course getting that clean run is so important in these cars. He can manage the tyres because he can choose where and when to brake, rolling into the corners a bit more, and he can use that to his advantage. So the place you really want to be.
Yes, as people are asking for more lap times, but I'm giving you plenty of lap times. Okay, people. I think they're poking fun at me, Rachel. I don't like it.
I think they are.
I appreciate it though. As we're still in the 150s, guys. It's 150s. The first car out of 150s was a 151. So everyone's still ripping around Monza very quickly, I have to say, as that's right along GT3. The official racing, of course, the Blancpain series, right in the lap times with that. So these guys obviously know their stuff. They're obviously very quick, as these guys are controlling this Monza course. I'm surprised nobody's...
sorry to interject, but on the point of lap times, of course, it's really interesting to see that the fastest lap times have been set typically after about 5 or 6 laps on each tyre stint. For example, Masiero's fastest lap of 149.592. He set on lap 6, and after his pit stop on lap 24, of course, he got that back down. He didn't get it back down to a 49, but he did. Actually, no, he did. His out lap was a 49.3. So, why that's not showing up as his fastest lap of the race, I don't know.
Probably got a 1X. Ha!
Probably did.
No, that doesn't count.
But either way, fastest laps directly after the pit stop, and well, they trail off to a 150.5, 150.3 sort of range.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's been a good range of times. These guys are very in the know as far as their cars go and their setups go. So, very competitive lap times pretty much throughout the field. I mean, we may poke fun at the Ford for being a little behind, but ultimately 152s are nothing to shake a stick at. I certainly
little
can't
behind,
do those.
Cam? The Ford GT is such a little behind that it is Nicki Minaj.
No, I don't even understand that reference. But anyways, they are looking to get lapped relatively soon. They are 10 seconds ahead of the leaders, both Ethan Bass and Jose Diaz. But that Ford looking good. Ultimately, it's clean, and thankfully, because of all the incidents that it's had, or that the other drivers had, as yes, going in behind the Ford of Ethan Bass is the leaders coming into picture now. But that Ford, the easiest way to make positions in it is by surviving, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah, typically because they're so slow, they're far away from the accidents. But the Ford GT is certainly doing a great job right now, of course, and Bass quite brave to actually keep that car running and run a car that we know is slower.
Well, I mean, it's you just take your car to the different places. There's nothing really wrong with it, but yes, in fact, that car, the Ford, by the time it does get there, it is true that the incident workers have already brought the tractor onto the track. The tractor has already picked up the car and brought it to the garage, and the car has already been loaded in the loader by the time the Ford gets to the incident, or at least where it happened on the track. But I like to think of these things as it's a safety feature, really, as Andrea Masiero is catching up to the rear end of Jose Diaz. Of course, I'm sure these guys will politely let the leaders play through and hopefully won't cause any big issues there. But right now, it looks between these front 3 cars, the biggest loser was Gilberto Miglioranza, whom after that incident of going off the track and catching the eye of the marshals and needing to slow down, ultimately there he now has a 4-second gap between that pair of Team GT cars. Now, they're only 7/10 of a second apart, these two cars. They wouldn't fight for the win, I can't imagine, would they? I wonder.
Well, other than team bragging rights, it's irrelevant because there's no driver standings, of course, Cam.
Yes,
So
actually,
1-2 in whichever order. It's still a 1-2.
actually Jose Diaz has passed the Ford of Ethan Bass, and we missed it once again. So something has happened with the Ford, and we missed it, and this is a travesty. But ultimately, those leaders are bearing down right on this pair of cars. Hopefully they will, once again, they'll just let the leaders play through. You'd hate to see something happen, well, unless you're Gibraltar in that Mervano car, in which case you would love to have something happen as the McLaren goes way wide, way off to the left, rejoins quite late onto the on driver's left there, as that Ford will let the leaders go by on the inside, or will he? Yes, he will? No. Okay, so they're getting separated as the Ford runs way wide, and ultimately there, Muia will get through. I don't really think anybody lost any time. Maybe Muia a little bit off. It looked a little awkward, but hey, I guess that works.
Does indeed. It fits.
Right. So going into turn 1 here, we'll have to see if that Ford doesn't run over somebody with its extraordinarily bright headlights. It does not. The brakes do work this time, which sometimes is good, but we'll have to see where the rear end will kick out on that. That's okay. We can certainly do that, Hugo, as Diaz there, having lost that position, running wide. Now you've got Gilberto, or Gilberto. He hasn't even caught up to the lapped cars that the other two have passed. It's now a 5.1 second gap. Obviously, Gilberto has used those tires up on that car.
Yeah, I think he is, and it's as it stands right now, of course, we are reaching that last part of the race right now, and with 9 or so minutes to go, it's going to be tricky. But I think he can hold on. The times have been fairly consistent. He's just not getting faster.
Yes, as they come in through the chicanes once again, which is just such a surprise here at Monza. Chicanes, they seem to be coming upon them with a fair bit of regularity. Actually, I almost wonder if this is one of those times if we could perhaps at the closing of this lap, actually Muia has, oh, okay, I thought he pulled over there. But no, he has not. To go see if we can't go on board with Giuseppe Muia, and we can take a lap of the chicaned track of Monza in the GT3 roof car, and we'll get that underway, and we'll see just how Muia attacks this course following his teammate in the McLaren. around one more time. It was Sweet Bomuya beginning the 44th lap of this race. Just about 10 minutes to go here at the line. So here we are once again, 44 laps in. I can't imagine there's more than 5 laps to go. Maybe like 3, maybe 4. I don't know. I don't do math. I'm American. So Muya there, on-board lap there. Of course, just the beautiful inside of that roof car. Managed to pick a winner there. But Andrea Misiero there, in control of the car, in control of the track. Doesn't really have any traffic ahead of him, and boy, he can just keep this thing set and straight, and he doesn't make his own mistake. He's going to be a very easy win, and a massive points haul for Team GT, which in round 5 of the STC Blue Cup is going to be quite a substantial help.
It will be indeed, of course. It won't really move them up position as things stand, as Movano gained enough points to actually stay in first, and the team of, even if Movano don't score any points, I should say, they haven't, well, they have got some, but with what they have, they stay in first. What Iberica's earned, they stay in second. But the biggest gainer that will really make this a three-way fight is definitely Team GT today. We really do not know what's going to happen with the end of this series.
No, we really don't. Of course, you can watch the entirety of the STC Blue Club and last season's STC Black Club live here on, pre-recorded live. It was once live. It's pre-live. It's pre-owned live.
Post-live.
It's post-live coverage of the STC Blue Cup of this season. The previous 4 rounds, of course, here on RaceSpotTV, and last season's Black Cup as well, for your viewing pleasure here. And that is always a good thing. Is I almost wonder every single time Muya goes by. He leans out to the left. I almost wonder if they're practicing a victory position. I don't imagine that would ever happen. He's only a half a second back, and if you're Muya, do you really push? You try and push your teammate, because as we've seen, actually in the entire world of motorsports lately, of endurance racing, that cars that are relatively similar to these roof cars, they're called Porsches, they have had, well, some really big factory issues. Of course, at the Daytona 24 Hours, both Porsche cars managed to, well, hit each other and spin out and crash. And then in the World Endurance Championship, which was at the race at Spa, the Porsche managed to take out the Works prototype Porsche car, which was a little bit of an oopsie-doodle. So these Porsche cars, well, they haven't been doing too good, and teammates, of course, with the Porsche Works team. So will Team GT hopefully not do what they have done, as looking back at Gilberto, that car is definitely not a happy camper. The tires on that obviously shot. But as long as Team GT doesn't make contact with each other, I can't imagine that there's anything that Gilberto can do.
Well, as it stands, Cam, we have 6 minutes and 25 seconds left of the play clock. And those laps are running down now. As of course, running through your top 10 as the points positions right now, Masiero leads in P1 from his teammate Muya. P3 is Miglia Alanza. We have Rafa Bordoy behind them in P4. P5 is Francisco Gonzalez. P6
Rachel.
Alejo Lopez. Yep, sorry.
I have to interrupt you.
Oh no, the Ford GT has crashed.
Ford GT has spun out. I spun out there too. Did he crash? Yes, he did.
Did you mentally spin out with him?
Yeah, he spun out. He almost clipped Diaz. Diaz actually crashed, avoiding him. That is terrible. Both these guys who have been fighting each other all race long in the back of the field has had an oopsie
didn't hold his
doodle.
brake. Yeah, we've got a replay up right now on the screen, of course. He did not hold his brake when he rolled back across the track, and, well, he's able to defend his position now because he nearly killed his opponent.
Well, I mean, he had his foot on the brake. I
Both
just
in the
don't
pits.
think it
Wow.
was... Yeah, and both of them going to the pits. I believe that Ford has some
I'd
wheel
have carried on
damage.
if I was there.
I believe there's some wheel damage there. I'm not sure if it's worth 6 minutes of running around for, as that Ford is very slow, going 10 miles an hour down the pit lane straight.
Well, if your teammate was in the pits, I'd have stayed out and just cruised another lap or two. If your opponent, sorry.
I almost wondered, did he miss his pit box?
I don't know. Maybe he's decided because his opponent came in as well, he's going to go out and stay out
I
for a
think he
couple of
missed
laps.
his pit box. He did. He was doing the pit lane speed limiter. Yeah, he was doing the pit lane speed limiter. He missed his pit box. Oh, that's terrible. That is terrible, as he is now, that poor Ford, Getting back onto the track now. Oh, whoopsie doozle.
But to be scored ahead.
He will be scored ahead, though. Actually, one of the new features in iRacing, if you do that in pit lane, your crew will actually go out and push your car back so you don't have like a 2-minute tow. Obviously, though, it didn't get the memo there, but he'll go back on track. Maybe it was a preemptive driving penalty. I don't know, as race control, I'm sure, is keeping an ever-watchful eye on everything going on the track right now, as they have already had to make some relatively tough decisions in some cases and some relatively easy decisions in others. As we look back at the last 45 laps of racing, we had a relatively clean start. The only issue was between the car of Adekoba Lopez and his teammate there, Rafa Bordoy, as those two had an issue going into the second or third chicane. And ultimately, the BMW punted his own teammate really out of the way, and they got a warning for that one, but everyone else managed to get away cleanly, which is great to see. Of course, racing as far as GT3 starts go, normally somebody gets flipped over. So STC showing us that you can always do a start at Monza, and you can do it cleanly, but then right afterwards shows how you not to defend at Monza, as 2 times now between 4 different cars. The entry into the first chicane has been a very difficult one. I mean, it's a completely straight piece of land, but not when you drive your competitors off the road, I'm afraid.
No, I agree, and there have been some incredibly questionable moments from drivers we thought were better than that as well. I've got to wonder if we're having some other issue here, perhaps, Cam, as well. I don't like to breach the fourth wall of the commentary booth, of course, but we have to start talking about netcode. Perhaps those cars were positioned differently. Perhaps they weren't quite as close, and I can't believe drivers in this series would do something like that. You know, the drivers involved have been of an excellent standard, like Jose Figuera, of Andy Pers. This is not the sort of behaviour we expect from them.
No, it isn't. And the incident between Andy Pers, I believe he was starting to straighten out, and ultimately they
also
made
both
contact.
Cars blended. They both cars in both situations kind of morphed somewhat.
Yeah, as soon as the rear quarter panel that McLaren was hit, there was only going to go one way, and it was the wall. But just the positioning between the first incident there between race leaders, Jose Vergara and I forget who else that was. I almost wonder if that wasn't Ivan Fernandez. Maybe it was Mario Bertolotti. Yes, it was Mario Bertolotti. They were both up in the front, 1 and 2, and for Vergara to basically close the entire inside line and force him where the pavement ended. There was a strip of grass right in front of him. Not quite sure where he expected him to go, other than braking. And really, in racing etiquette, you just can't put somebody in a position where the only thing they can do is brake. You've got to be respectful. And I don't know, maybe they didn't know that strip of grass was there, and they thought the inside line went further. But ultimately, though, they took each other out, and now they are well in the bottom of the field, and massive points haul for other teams, such as Team GT. As oh my goodness, I just gave myself a heart attack as I looked up to our leader, Andrea Maciero, and he is passing the lapped car of Mario Bertolotti, speaking to the guy. But that was a green roof car, and I almost wondered if we missed a pass from the lead, but we did not. As Gusweepamuya, and not yet indeed, as we are closing in. I believe this next lap is going to be the last lap.
This is under a minute. The time will expire this time by the stripes, so we're looking at about 50 seconds remaining, so it could be close, Cam. It could be very close.
They only have Parabolica to go. That's not going to take 50 seconds, so we do have 1 lap at least to go. This should be the final lap next time by, but boy, that McLaren, it's starting to get a little ropey on exits. He seems to be bumping a lot over exits, and the rear end of that getting very light.
They have time. They have 4.6 seconds, of course, back to Miglioranza. So they can afford to just back it off a little bit and play it safe, of course. This will be a team victory and an excellent run from Team GT as things stand, with Maciero and Moya having such an awesome run. You've got to hand it to them. It's been a bit of luck, but also a lot of consistency.
Yeah, I'd say it hasn't been luck from Maciero in the sense of lap times. He's been doing great lap times, very consistent. Fastest lap time of a 149.5. He's doing averages of 150.5s. But ultimately, he's kept that car clean, and he's been lucky enough to avoid incidents as he absolutely demolishes one of those K2 type mountains that we've seen here at Monza. But ultimately, keeps the car straight.
Who are we talking about?
And the Maciero there.
Well, I was just watching Ethan Bass doing exactly the same thing. So
did the car go in the air?
It did indeed. I was confused actually, Cam, because I thought you were talking about Ethan. I heard a different name. I was like, two cars jumping over the yellow and black mountains at once.
So no, Maciero, as he's on the last lap here, he's not lucky per se. Obviously, very good driving, very good driver, but he's managed to keep that car clean. And then Muia, after having that little incident with that little front end damage, ultimately he's kept his car clean. He's been doing very good lap times, and now we'll see Muia and Maciero, the Italian team in Italy, looking to get a 1-2 finish as they look to go into the Parabolica turn in the STC Blue Cup for the 5th round here at Monza. It is going to be Andrea Maciero and Giuseppe Muia exiting the Parabolica corner with the lapped car of Mario Bertolli. Behind them, it will be a Team GT 1-2, and Rachel, what a good run from them. Gilberto Miglioranza will finish in the 3rd position in that roof car, with Rafa Bordoy in the BMW looking to take the 5th position. And ultimately, Rachel, some very good racing, some questionable defensive maneuvers, but other than that, it has been a relatively good race for sure, especially here at Monza, showing us once again why iRacing would pick up such a track.
It is indeed, and I think it's been a very dividing race, Cam. Of course, we've had some great action, but we've also had a lot of dinky sportsmanship to an extent of blocking, weaving, squeezing off tracks. I know a few YouTube commenters recently mentioned the Ethan Bass incident, of course, with Jose Diaz.
Yes.
I don't think that was as much disgraceful racing etiquette as much as just didn't get on the brake. I don't think he was deliberately running back to block him, but I think it was more of a case of he didn't get on the brake after hitting the wall, so...
Probably wanted to clear the track in case somebody else was coming through, but ultimately, though, we will look at the results screen right now as Maciero and Muia will go side by side. Andrea Maciero, after an hour and 30 minutes of GT3 racing at Monza, will come home in first, with Muia on right behind. Gilberto Miglioranza in this 3rd position, with Rafa Bordoy in 4th. Francisco Javier Gonzalez finishing in 5th, with Ade Coba Lopez in 6th. 7th position will be Luis Miguel Ortega Benito and Ricardo Inacchio in 8th. Nick Kodarakis there in 9th position, with Raf Cullinan in 10th. Ethan Bass, the single Ford GT, will finish right next to his teammate, actually, in 11th position, as Christian Manzano will finish in 12th. Jose Diaz in 13th, Renans Dreigers in 14th, Rise Gardner in 15th, Andy Pers in 16th, Mario Bertolini, he's going to throat punch me. Bertolotti, there, he started in 5th position, ended up in 17th. Very unfortunate for him. Ivan Fernandez finishing in 18th, and Jose Ivagara losing the most. He started in 2nd, finished in 19th, 42 laps down, and then Juan Prieto in 20th position. Ultimately, the race taking 50 laps, 49 laps, an hour and 30 minutes of hard racing, one single pit stop where Gilberto Miglioranza ended up jumping the leader, but some racing from Mazzaro got that position back, and he didn't let go, and he came away with the win. We'll just go take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
One hour and 31 minutes of racing completed, and we are here at the end of round number 5 for the STC Blue Club. And here for the post-race interviews, it's myself, Cam Walsh, Rachel Whiteford, and our race winner for Team GT, Andrea Misiero. Mr. Misiero, relatively incident-filled race at the start, but ultimately, though, once everything got sorted out, you managed to take control and win the race. How are you feeling right now?
Well, I'm pretty satisfied with this result because I have had only 2 days for practicing, and I'm really happy. It was unexpected, for sure.
Yes, and not only an unexpected win, but a team won too, which is always a good thing to see there. Muia, was he just staying behind you, or was he trying to pass you?
I think it was not intentional to overtake me.
Yeah,
So it's a team championship, so the result is more important than a single position.
Yes, and so speaking of those standings, you guys were third in standings, and now while I don't think it's going to jump you up, it certainly brings you much closer to the leading two teams. So going into the next race there, you guys are going to be even closer, and that's always a good thing to see. How are you guys going to think you're going to be doing next week?
Well, I don't think we can battle at this level every race, but for sure we will push hard and hope to see some result as today.
Yeah. Yes, in a very good race, as of course the Italians have won at Monza. That's I believe there's always a celebration somewhere for that. I'm not quite sure, but ultimately Monza worked out very well for you. You guys are going to Okayama next. What do you think about that?
Personally, I don't like Okayama, but we will see if I race or my teammate will race.
Well, Andrea Masiero, thank you for coming in here. Anyone you'd like to thank or give a shout out to?
Yes, for sure. I'd like to thank all my teammates that helped me a lot with the setup, and also congratulations to Giuseppe Muia and Gilberto Miglioranza for the battle. It was amazing, and that's all.
Well, Andrea Masiero, of course, our race winner with Team GT, our team race winning. So we'll hopefully see you guys next week. And for that, we are going to take off here on RaceSpotTV. Thank you very much for watching. This is, of course, not yet. Okay, hold on.
Back to you guys.
Stop the music. Yeah. Thank you, Masiero. You're all set. Yep. Okay, Hugo. Hold on a second. We have more people. We have more people.
Let's do as we do every week in STC. We're gonna go roaming. So Hugo, Cam, follow me.
Oh boy, it's my favorite game. There. Racing. All right.
Well, hey, here we are. We're live in the Movie Go Garage, and we're here with Reese, and we're here with Ethan, and we're here with Team Principal Reggie. Guys, interesting race tonight.
Yeah, certainly. Very interesting race. I
We
was a
will
bit
start with you, of
disappointed
course,
with the
Reese.
result, to be honest. Oh,
You
I'm
had a little
terribly sorry.
contact. No, sorry.
Yeah.
You sounded as amused with tonight's action as I was expecting you to. Tell me about the contact with Andy Purz.
Well, first off, the team manager of Hellenic Racing Team came in after the race and apologized for the incident, which was incredibly gracious of him, and I do appreciate it, and there's no bad blood between us now. It was apparently just a simple misunderstanding of the white line rule coming out of the pits. I think Andy mistakenly assumed that he had to stay left of the white line coming out of the pits, and yeah, just didn't realize I was there, and I was forced off the track and into the wall. It's a shame because I think I was on pace for a top 10 finish, probably, all things considered.
Well, you certainly look like you had the speed today of the Movie Go cars. In no sort of particular order of speed, we're going to go to Ethan. Of course, you were driving a rather wounded Ford from the start of the line, actually. Those Fords have been rather underpowered in general. How did you find it today?
Well, I wouldn't really say wounded. I would just say a case of I just lacked the grip at slow speed, really. Other than that, the car was brilliant. It was enjoyable, actually.
Well, it has been documented recently that the Ford GT, as much as Cam will want to protest this, they're down on top-end speed overall. And obviously you managed to pull some incredibly good laps out of it to get into the 52s, but did you have anything for the other cars?
I had plenty enough for the cars. The McLarens I could live with. And I was running with Joseph Diaz. I could live with him. It was the BMWs and Porsches for this brief amount of time I actually raced with them. I couldn't live with them.
Still, you managed to come home with a top 10. Of course, you did have a rather controversial incident yourself when running towards the end of the race with Jose. I believe that was
Jose Diaz.
Yes, Jose Diaz. I was looking that up myself because I didn't want to sound like I'd forgotten his name. Jose Diaz, of course. You lost it yourself, and tell me what happened.
Unfortunately, again, I just lost it coming out of Ascari. I think just the tires were just a little bit too dead to go as fast as I was trying to go. As soon as I got sideways, I was slamming it on the brakes to stop it rolling, but it rolled too far into the point where Josef dived right to not T-bone me. So.
An unfortunate end for you, and of course, your teammate Reese comes home today in 15th, and you do come home in 11th position, so not the result you guys would have wanted after last week, but do you think you have anything for Okayama?
Well, I'm certainly not racing at Okayama, so not too sure. But we do have Ben Tusting in the car for Okayama, and he's our fastest driver by a long way, and he got our first win at Sonoma, obviously. So I'd say I'm fairly confident, and I'm definitely getting behind the guys, and just hoping we can get some good results to round out the season.
Awesome. Well, good luck with future rounds. I'm going to hand it back to Cam to close up today's action.
Thanks very
Well,
much.
that we will. Sorry to kind of come in here and just do the ending, but anyways, we'll get the music back up, and we'll try doing this again. Hopefully, no jumping this time. Anyways, this has been the STC Blue Cup. This has been the 5th round here at Monza. Of course, we are always happy to have you, and we will see you again in Japan at Okayama, where these GT3 cars will battle it out in a short 45-minute standing start sprint. Certainly nothing could go wrong entering turn 1, but we will have to see, and you will see it, in fact, here on RaceSpotTV. So for me, Cameron Walsh, Rachel Whiteford, and Hugo Louis on the cameras, and in my ear, it has been a pleasure. We will see you all later, and take care.